Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 12 of Screen Woven. I'm Chris, and this is Daniel. Perfect. We had to do that so many times to get the timing lined up. Oh my gosh. We'll edit all that out.
Yeah. It's too much. They're not going to believe us.
They shouldn't.
I guess that's right.
Um,
Wait, no, hold on. You said we did try it a bunch of times.
right. And they shouldn't believe that because we most certainly didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're coming to you live from not live, recorded. Well,
Yeah.
we're live.
That's true.
When
We're
you're
here.
hearing it, it won't be. But from a different location this time. And again, no video. Last episode was just some technical difficulties, and this episode is just more out of convenience. We're not in our usual little setup, so it was just easier to do audio only again.
We have kind family members who lend us a room in their home to film in, and one of them got the COVIDs.
Ruh-roh.
And so they're like, get out of here.
Yeah, which, I mean, I appreciate. I thought it was, thoughtful to, not want us to get sick, especially because we both have young children.
Yeah, I think it was more they were like, we don't like you. No, I'm just kidding.
Like they're not even sick. They're just like, dude, this would be a good reason to tell them to not come over here.
That's right.
I got you. Well, that's unfortunate. No, but I mean, in all seriousness, hopefully we'll get something set up. I don't know. Now Daniel's over here and he's like, this could just be the thing we do forever.
It's sad. No one can see, but it's a much better setup.
Well, the only problem with it is my wife is not off on Fridays.
This is a Saturday.
What? No, it's not.
It is a Friday. What's wrong with me? I don't know what
you
happened.
said that with such a straight face, it made me question things.
I
was like, well, I'm supposed to be at work right now.
Well, you were looking at me so seriously. I was like, maybe I got it wrong, and I did.
Yeah, but it's okay. But yeah, so we'd have to figure that out. But anyway, it'd be all right. Eventually, we'll get something. We'll figure it out. But until then, today, little bit different than what we've been doing. I mean, it's something we've kind of talked about doing for a while in general. Both as far as the specific movie we're going to be discussing, but also just as a thing in general that we were going to kind of do this recurring thing where we watch certain movies together that maybe one of us hasn't seen and talk about, kind of review it, talk about thoughts. Probably the one who has seen it leading it up and asking most of the questions. We've kind of already done this with Vanilla Sky when we did that, and Sing Street, which were both ones that you recommended. So we thought it was kind of time to switch it up and me show you one that you hadn't.
And we also did it with a video that never got recorded. So we did it with Ghostbusters, where you and I sat down and watched it.
That's right.
But the recording didn't work out, so we just didn't have an episode that
is
time.
Right. I forgot about that.
So we need to do an episode where you ask me about Ghostbusters.
That would be cool.
Since
we never really did get to talk about it, and you seem to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'll save those thoughts for...
Do you remember your thoughts on that?
I do.
Okay.
I remember that movie very well.
Okay, well, good. I mean, it wasn't like crazy long ago, but I mean, it's been a couple months, I think, at least.
I think it has been, yeah.
But yeah, we could talk about that at some point.
Let's talk about it.
All right, so we'll just talk about this movie a different time, and we'll talk about that now.
You mean Nobody?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Nobody now.
Yeah.
All jokes aside, we are going to talk about Nobody now.
Well, before we get into that, I think you had mentioned you had some thoughts you wanted to get off your chest, maybe to kind of open conversation up about Karate Kid Legends.
Yeah, well, the first weird thing is that apparently I have thoughts in my chest now. So,
well, not in it, but on it.
Okay.
Like they leaked out of your big brain and kind of spilled down your handsome face onto your chest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sponge, you're never going to feel better till you get this thing off your chest.
You're right, Patrick.
Oh, my gosh. I freaking love how quotable, relatable. Like there is a situation in that show for anything.
That's right. So Karate Kid. All right, we haven't seen the movie yet.
Correct.
So Chris and I have been talking about what movies we want to actually go see in theaters and then talk about, like which ones are more important. And I am restricted not only by money, but also by time because of our family situation. I don't have as much time where I can go to movies. So Karate Kid Legends has been one that's been on the fence for me, and I have officially decided to wait and to stream for that one because now we will be talking about Fantastic Four. We are going to all go see that together, and we will be talking about that when it comes out.
And then Superman.
And Superman. Was that the
me and
Yes,
you.
that's right. Yeah. And me and so Superman and Fantastic Four are two where we will go see them in theaters and talk about them. But I want to give some thoughts about Karate Kid Legends because it's been out now and I've read some spoiler-free reviews. Maybe some like semi-mild spoilers, but not really. I don't think it's going to ruin anything. But it confirmed something that pretty much ticked me off.
So, just going into this, I mean, I know he just said it, but just to be clear, like if you want to go into the movie completely blind, maybe just skip ahead. How long you think? Like 5-10 minutes we'll talk about this, or
I don't know. We're just gonna see where it goes.
Just skip ahead.
Well, to give some context about why I don't know where the conversation is gonna go. You are watching through Cobra Kai right now.
Yes.
And that's important for this conversation because I had convinced you, and part of the reason I even convinced you to watch Cobra Kai was because Karate Kid Legends was coming out, and I was like, you need to have that context,
right? Because
I think they're setting it up, and promises not kept. Like I'll just
perfect, so I don't have to keep watching Cobra Kai.
You don't have to, but I know you want to.
I do. The only reason I've stopped is because you keep telling me I need to watch the second and third Karate Kid, and I watched the second one. Every single second of it, did not skip a bit of it, not even the end. and I cannot bring myself to watch the third one.
Dude, the third one is better. I promise you it's better.
All right.
Yeah, it is better. It's not as good as the first one, but it's better than the second one. The second one was the worst one, but it had the best fight scene at the end, the one thing that you skipped. That's so the third one, it's a much better plot, and it has the best villain. And that villain returns. I probably shouldn't have said that because
dun dun dun.
I knew exactly. Like they just hinted. They didn't even show anything when he showed up in Cobra Kai, and I was like, I know who that is. Oh my gosh, they brought him back. He's a really cool villain.
Okay. Well. So anyway. Okay. So yeah.
See what I mean? This conversation's already going places we weren't expecting.
All I can say is. Look, honestly, I think we all kind of know how Karate Kid Legends was going to go. I mean, we're not going to delve into the plot specifics here, but if you want to go into it completely blind, just skip ahead a good bit into the show and then maybe kind of slowly back up if you want to just hear us discuss the movie Nobody in depth.
But if you're on the fence about watching it and you're like willing, and I'm saying, I haven't seen it, so very minor spoilers. There's nothing about the plot necessarily or like that I'm going to spoil, just some facts about the movie.
Right.
So that might help you make a decision because it definitely made a decision for me. Because, all right, can I go ahead and
let's go. Let's get into it.
The first trailer I saw for this movie, I was like, oh my gosh, they are opening up the most beautiful can of worms I've ever seen. Like the second Jackie Chan showed up and met with Daniel LaRusso, I was like, oh, they're bridging those like they're the same universe.
Right.
That is epic. So like anyone who has been paying attention to the Karate Kid universe and Cobra Kai and stuff, like the way that they change things in Cobra Kai and shift it, like it starts making your mind going, oh, they're like teasing us for like they're planning like a MCU level type like thing here. To me, that's what I got from the teaser trailer.
Right.
Whereas like Jackie Chan shows up, it's just a little bit of a taste of like what's coming. Now, they didn't actually say that anywhere, but it was like Cobra Kai was so successful, everyone loved it, and they sent that trailer out at the same time the last season of Cobra Kai was coming out.
Right.
So that that pushed me to finish Cobra Kai quickly because I had already liked it. I was going to finish it anyway, but I was like, I got to finish this because I need to know. And I think I remember seeing an article somewhere where they were saying how Cobra Kai sets it up for Karate Kid Legends. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. So then the second trailer came out and I was like, all right, I'm already a little bit disappointed because it seems like, and I remember I talked about this a little bit on the podcast. Basically, so one of the things that I loved about Cobra Kai is they switched up the storyline to where it's not just a rehashing of Karate Kid 1.
Right.
Like there's different stakes, there's different things that matter. They do have a tournament in the end of the first one, but the tournament was like small potatoes compared to what was actually going on. You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like this big, like, anyway. Then I watched the trailer, the second trailer, the actual cinematic trailer for Karate Kid Legends, and I'm like, well, that's kind of dumb. It looks like they're just straight up doing another Karate Kid movie with, like, they've already remade the Karate Kid once. They've already done part 2 and 3. Now they're just doing the same thing, but bringing Mr. Han in. And I was thinking, man, Jaden Smith might show up and he might have to help this guy out.
Man,
like,
that would have been a bummer.
I was thinking Johnny's going to show up. Like, he's going to have to help. Like, I was thinking they're going to do this conglomerate thing. And basically all the reviews I've heard confirmed what I was disappointed about in the first trailer. It's like, it's just another story about a kid moves to a new town. He starts getting bullied by someone. Somebody trains him. The only difference is he's already got a kung fu background, but then he has to learn karate, like the way they say it, kind of dumb.
Karate.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, and so Mr. Han, and look, I love the Karate Kid. I love Ralph Macchio as the Karate Kid, but like, the fact that Jackie Chan's character, especially when you've seen the original Karate Kid and like the remake with Jaden Smith, the fact that Mr. Han needs Daniel LaRusso's help is kind of silly. Like, when you look at the difference in their abilities. And I was okay with it if it meant like, I thought there was going to be relational stakes or something where he needed Daniel because of like some connection with Mr. Miyagi. I don't know. Like they were going to, and then Johnny was going to get involved. Like that's what I thought they were setting it up for. And it's like all they did, it's like there's so many possibilities they could have had. And the Cobra Kai show was so successful. But there was, here's the little minor spoilers. It was confirmed there are 0 tie-ins to Cobra Kai. No one in Cobra Kai shows up or is even talked about in the movie.
Wow.
And it's basically just Mr. Han and Daniel team up to help this kid win a karate tournament. It's like all it is.
Which I'm going to be honest, I don't get, because like you said, he already had a kung fu background.
Yeah.
For some reason, he felt like he needed to learn karate to win this tournament specifically. Which, okay, like I could see where it'd be an interesting story if maybe like, you know, you do like this really visually appealing, cool fusion of kung fu and karate, and you're like, oh, that's like something new. Like that looks different, like how it comes across on screen. But I don't feel like they did. And then on top of that, I also think you could have just had an interesting story if like this kid came from a part of the world where kung fu was more prevalent than karate, and that the conflict was one versus the other. Like, what wins? And obviously, the ending would have then been different because they're not going to come out and just flat out have the Kung Fu Kid win just because Kung Fu is better than karate. Like, no director in their right mind is going to do that because martial arts, you know, is such a respected thing. Sorry, I'm adjusting my mic. But I don't know. For me, that would have been interesting, like having one versus the other, or maybe fusing them and just seeing if you could create this like new kind of choreography that just looks different than anything we've seen before, or something like you said, like just make it matter.
Yeah.
But I feel like from everything I've heard about it, because I've looked at some reviews too, it's like none of it mattered.
Yeah.
And what was the point of bringing Jackie Chan in like you said, there's no Jaden Smith in it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not even a mention that he had another student at some point.
From what I've seen and read, no.
Like,
What I mean, it's like, what's the point? Like,
I mean, yeah,
all
that's
of
kind of
that-
where I'm at.
all of that hype, releasing it at this finale of Cobra Kai. You know, that's something that you do to get fans to speculate.
Yeah,
And then just nothing.
to me, that's kind of my main issue with it is, I go back to the turn of phrase we used when we were talking about Avatar in the last episode and adapting it. It should be a layup.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
The content is right there. Just do that in real life. To me, this was a layup.
Yeah.
You had your most successful spinoff, sequel, whatever you want to call it, in decades with Cobra Kai. It killed.
Yeah.
And I think it only got bigger. You're going to make a new movie. Why would you not include that?
Yeah, and like I'm same here. Like that's how I feel. But what's extra infuriating about it is the release of the teaser and then showing Jackie Chan instead of showing Cobra Kai. It makes you think like, oh man, like they're really gonna bring this whole universe into this. Nothing.
Right. Like, I don't know. Like I said, it felt like it should have been a layup.
Yeah.
Everything I started hearing about it, and I'm kind of glad that you saw the stuff you saw, because, like, thinking through the whole thing, I wasn't thinking about the fact that, like you said, you're kind of limited on how often you can go to the movies. I'm kind of glad you saw the stuff you saw because of that, and like I'm glad you didn't end up wasting time or money to go do it. But I had been seeing all that very early, and I kept it quiet because I didn't want to ruin it for you. Sometimes critics have
bad takes.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm just
most of the time the critics have bad takes.
And so I was like, I'm just forming my own opinion. But I was seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
There was no split. Like, it was like, it was pretty soulless cash grab. Pretty plain, pretty boring.
Yeah, that's so lame. It makes me extra angry because I've heard Ralph Macchio in interviews talk about how he was always so impressed with the creators of Cobra Kai with how much they loved Karate Kid. Like, they knew way more about the Karate Kid world than he did. Because he said that he would go to him after reading his script. He would go to the writers and be like, I don't know if Daniel would ever do this. And they would say, no, he has done it. And they would like show him in the second and third movies because he doesn't remember those as well. And then Ralph Macchio would be like, oh yeah, I guess that is in line with how Daniel, and we've actually talked about how that show's done that to us too.
It really changed my perspective on him as a character. And like, especially like I told you, when I went and rewatched the first one and was looking at it now from the point of view of like someone who has seen the story shift in Cobra Kai, I was like, dang, you know what? He was kind of a douche back then. Like, he wasn't a great guy. Like, kind of rude to the girl, hothead, like he is in the show. He's a hothead, and he doesn't think things through all the time, and he kind of reacts impulsively. And so does Johnny. Like, they're both kind of alpha male, hothead, like, but I guess just because it's written to where you feel a little bad for him, because he's in a place he doesn't know. Like, as a kid, you look at it, oh man, he's getting bullied. Like, no, he kind of brought some of that on himself, like, sucker punching Johnny on the beach and all that, dumping water on him at the park, like things like that. He did his fair share of instigating.
Yep.
So stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I will say, so again, this is minor, like mild spoiler for some of the beginning part of the movie that I saw in what was dubbed a spoiler-free review. So I'm assuming what I'm about to say is not like detrimental to the viewing experience of the movie. And then if that's all from you after I say my piece, we'll kind of wrap this up and move on to talking about Nobody. But apparently in the beginning part of the movie, there's like a different kind of storyline where the dude comes to town and his like love interest, the girl that he's got like a thing with, her dad is like a boxer, but he's like not doing great at it. And he's teaching the dad how to incorporate some kung fu techniques into his boxing to help him become successful at boxing. And see, to me, that alone could have been a really interesting story where instead of the new kid in town being like the helpless, whatever, he kind of comes there and he's helping people who've been living there that are kind of getting abused or like, maybe they're not doing things successfully. And he's kind of helping them implement things in their lives from a kung fu background to, help them succeed at whatever or protect themselves or what, instead of him being the one who needs to learn something new to win something. That would have been even a cool, still pretty much the same concept, but at least you're flipping it and it's something different. Even that would have been like, well, they tried.
Mm-hmm.
I could have lived with that. But yeah, when you sit here and you're like, and from what I've heard, that is, I guess, a little spoil. I mean, it's not detailed, but I'll just say the finale's not great from what I heard. I don't know if you know what I'm referring to, but
I think I do, but I don't know for sure.
We'll talk about it a little more.
Based on just the trailer that I saw, not the teaser, but the cinematic trailer, it seemed like, okay, there's this really big karate tournament, and it's up to this new kid to win it.
I mean, as usual,
same exact story.
Right. But it's something about that, but it's a smidge more specific that I don't think you would mind at all, but I don't know everyone else's, so we'll talk about it maybe before you leave. But I heard that the finale's not great either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, all in all, basically just saying all that to let you guys know that we don't know much about the movie. We haven't seen it. That's kind of where we stand on it right now. We may or may not end up reviewing it at some point in the future just to talk about it, even if it is just kind of dumping on it, I mean, whatever.
Oh man. Go ahead. I've already said my piece.
But just basically letting y'all know like why there won't be a review probably like within the first week or so or even month of the movie being out.
Yeah.
And also much different reasons here, but there also won't be one for the new and supposedly final Mission Impossible because that one we also have to wait until it comes out on streaming.
Yeah, I'm really sad about that because I really do want to see that one.
I am actually honored because I know for a fact that when you were trying to decide what movies you wanted to see in theaters to review and which ones you couldn't, that I know you would rather see that than Superman in theaters. I am honored that you picked Fantastic Four and Superman over Mission Impossible and Karate Kid.
Well, the reason is because I think, this is the main... Usually, I'm not a theater person anyway, except for Mission Impossible. That's the irony. It's like we went and saw the first Final Reckoning in theaters and had the worst theater experience, but that was in Nashville. Anyway... But the reason is because the primary reason I'm going to the movies now is for this podcast. And so I thought, what's going to make the best content for this podcast? It's not because I like you.
Please do not get it twisted. This is not for you. It's for money. I wish.
Wish it was for money?
Yeah.
Okay.
What'd you say?
I said, it's because I love you.
I don't like you. I love you. No, I know you. I know it was a mix of things, but I know you would have wanted to see it in theaters, and I'm shocked you're not going to.
Got to compromise.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna watch it.
Oh yeah, I mean the second it comes out on streaming, even if we have to buy it,
you will.
Yeah,
you will.
I love those movies.
But yeah. So is that kind of your piece on Karate Kid? You want to leave that there?
I'll say one last thing. When you said it was a layup, that really resonated with me.
I mean, it should be. It should have been.
Especially because of how great they did with Cobra Kai.
Right.
The way they subverted the plot. It's like I was thinking, this is going to be a really fresh take on the whole world.
Right. Honestly, as successful as Cobra Kai was, and you might not agree with this because I know your opinion on how the show ended. As successful as Cobra Kai was, they could have even done a movie related to more the Cobra Kai side of things completely they would have had to be careful because I know you said that show ends perfectly. So you don't want to screw up perfect endings for certain characters or whatever. But
Well, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
you,
But like the way that I thought they were going to do that is that like they were going to come in as like side people who were affected by what was going on with this
with the main
character.
story, yeah.
Yeah, and like maybe they were going to just provide help, but their story is still over, but
Yeah.
they're just helping him in his story. Like that's the way I thought it was going to be. Like I thought maybe they were going to drop just like the slightest, like the most obscure character in this movie, like Hawk or something. He's
Yeah.
not really an obscure character, but like
not at
instead of-
all.
Yeah. But instead of like Johnny, like Hawk or a Stingray or something shows up.
Who is Stingray?
Stingray, the guy in the big dude at the end of season 2.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Man, it's been a minute since
Yeah.
I've watched that show.
How about this? Instead of you having to watch Karate Kid 3, I will just tell you about it and show you the coolest scenes. And that way
I
you
might
can just
do
get back
that,
to
yeah.
Cobra Kai.
But yeah, so it bums me out, man. That, like you say, it resonates because it's true.
Yeah.
Anyone who watched Cobra Kai knows that this movie should have been
Yeah.
easily one of the biggest films of the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
They could have competed with Fantastic Four, honestly.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, anyway, it is what it is.
And it was the best because you know how I feel about remakes and reboots and stuff. Like it even got me to the point where like this is a new way to do it.
Right.
Like, this is a fresh take.
Right.
Like, no one expected Mr. Han from the remake to come in here, and I'm like, how are they gonna like? Oh man, all the things in my head. It's just none of it.
And by the way, yet another example of a company with an IP failing to attempt to recreate what Marvel has done.
Yeah, that's also true.
Another fumble, mishandling of trying to do a cinematic universe.
And it just goes to show more of the stuff that I've said before, which is why I liked the Superman trailer where they're already bringing all the superheroes in. Like, this is what everyone does. It's like someone does something really successful and everyone tries to copy it and they call it the market. I'm like, but there wasn't a market for it until someone did it and
Right.
succeeded. Like, you got to take risks. I
Right.
understand doing things to pay the bills. I get that. But you got to take risks. You got to do some passion projects. You
I
might
agree.
strike gold, you
Yeah.
know?
I agree.
So there you have it.
But anyway, so that's a little bit of a bummer. I hope whoever goes to see it, I hope you enjoy it. I really do. I mean, I never would hope anyone spends that much money and doesn't enjoy the thing they go see. But if you do go see it and you like it, please let us know in comments, any and everywhere that you can leave them, what you liked about it. If you don't go watch it, let us know why. Is it because of something we said? Is it because of something else you heard? Or were you just never interested from the get-go? I'd like to feel out the pulse of this thing and, start to create some engagement from the listeners, some of the recurring listeners we get. So please, on YouTube, or I think Daniel's mentioned even Spotify now has a comment feature. So
I kind of want them to add that feature to songs too.
yeah,
They
that'd
should
be cool.
totally do that.
But yeah, leave us your thoughts and let us know kind of where you stand on it and why. But yeah, I guess moving from that, the main thing for today is Nobody 2 had a trailer that dropped probably 2-ish weeks ago now, 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really excited because I really, really loved the first movie, and I was really hoping it would do well enough in theaters as kind of this new, like, original title coming out to draw enough attention and whatever to be successful in the box office and get a sequel. And it did. Within, like, its first week or so, it actually did well enough to where they went ahead and greenlit a second one. Still, even at that, greenlighting doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. It just means the studio's open to funding it if it comes about and whatever. So for those of you who have not seen the first movie, neither had Daniel. We've talked about this, and so today it's been kind of a slow movie news thing the past week or so. So today we decided, instead of trying to dig up little tidbits to talk about, that we would watch Nobody right before we set up the mics to record, and then we would talk about it.
That's right. And we watched A Bug's Life instead.
Yep, and it was just as boring as it ever has been.
You don't like A Bug's Life?
And it's still probably like one of the bottom most Pixar movies ever released.
Really?
It's awful.
Are you serious?
It's not that good.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
kind of shocking.
You like it?
I love A Bug's Life.
Mhm. I don't know. I don't know if it's because it's so old and I've just seen it so many times, or if it's just because it's gross, because it's bugs, or if it just bores me. Like, I don't even remember liking it as a kid, to be honest with you.
Wow. I always knew there was something wrong with you. Who ordered the poo-poo platter? That's a great movie. We didn't even expect to have this conversation.
No, sometimes my awesome takes just bring us into whole new realms of possibilities. No, I've seen A Bug's Life, didn't love it. I've seen it many, many times in my life. And I just can't say it's one of the best or even a great or good Pixar film.
It's definitely not like, well, my voice really cracked there. It's definitely not. I'm doing a Mickey Mouse impression. Anyway, it's definitely not one of the best Pixar films ever. I mean, it's like it pales in comparison to like Toy Story or something.
Well, I mean, which
But
makes
it's
sense.
a fun,
it was the
entertaining
first
movie.
one.
That was the first one?
A Bug's Life was the first Pixar film.
Really? I did not know that.
It predates Toy Story by like a year or two.
Whoa.
Toy Story was the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
After that, it starts to get a little fuzzy for me. I don't like have the entire Pixar lineup memorized, but I do know Bug's Life was the first one.
Okay.
Um,
Pixar's a hit or miss. Some of them are fantastic.
Yeah, that's true. And it's usually like they're either amazing or terrible. Like, I don't know that there's any in between.
A Bug's Life is in between for me. It's like it's a pretty entertaining little
I'd call
movie.
it terrible.
Oh my gosh. I wouldn't go that far. Okay. Anyway, we're here to talk about Nobody. So,
Well,
I guess you have some
ironically, we
questions you
kind of
wanna
are, because nobody is exactly who likes A Bug's Life. Ba-dum, psh.
ask me. Yeah. No.
Okay. So let's start with this. All right. So you've never seen it. This is your first time watching it. Did you have any thoughts going into it? Like, were you expecting anything? Did you know anything about it at all? That face you're making is telling me, what are thoughts?
There's something that grow on your chest. That's all I know.
That's all I know. Did you have any kind of, like, I guess, assumptions or feelings or whatever going into it, or you knew nothing about it?
I pretty much knew what you told me, and I asked you beforehand because you had mentioned that it was kind of funny. And so I asked you a question because this was kind of my impression of it. It's like the Avengers 1, maybe I even go as specific as saying the first Avengers. Like, it's like half the amount of comedy as Avengers that's in Avengers 1 with like a similar style action to John Wick. Like kind of Avengers style humor, but if it was in the John Wick universe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's kind of what my impression was of it.
And yeah, we did kind of talk about that right before it started. So now that you've seen it, do you come away with that take, or you think maybe you were off on that?
I think that was actually pretty accurate.
I was trying to, I didn't want to mislead you, but when you started giving me like specific percentages, I was like, yeah, no, I could see. I'll give you that. Yeah, it's probably like 15%-ish humor with a lot of action, but just more geared towards adults.
Yeah.
So okay, good. So you came away feeling like you kind of nailed it with your guesstimation of that.
Yeah.
Did the humor land for you? Like,
Oh yeah.
I know there were some times you laughed, but I meant like overall, other than like some of the more obvious gags, like there's some pretty subtle humor in this, like in the movie, like in the opening, very, 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 very opening scene. It kind of starts in media res a little bit because you're kind of starting at the end of the movie. And he's like pulling all this stuff out of his pockets, and then he just pulls a kitten out of his jacket. And it's like, it's one of those things where, and there was a couple things in this where you were like, I don't know if that's supposed to be funny, but that's funny.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think it's supposed to, like, it's subtle humor, but there's humor throughout it because, and I told you, this was actually from the writers of John Wick.
Yeah.
And that movie plays it off a lot more seriously. and obviously anyone who knows, I mean, John Wick at this point is a pretty iconic name in cinema, but that first movie kind of kicks off with his wife dies. You don't even meet her. Like, she's dead at the very beginning from cancer or something. And she left him a little puppy because she knew that he would need something to connect with, some form of some kind of relationship, so he's not just alone. And speaking as someone who's only been alone in his home for about 5 days at this point, while his wife and dog and baby are all out on vacation with her parents, I agree with her. It's rough. It's rough. So, no, I won't. I'm a big baby and I own it. It's lonely, and she knew that he needed something, so she left him a puppy. And then these idiots come and break into his house. They steal his car and they murder his dog. Right. So the premise there is that he goes on a massive, like, if you wanted to put the movie into, like, boil it down to like its essentials, he kills like the entire Russian mob or an entire sect of the Russian mob because someone killed his dog. And it's like, that's crazy. But the way they do it, it works. So in this movie, it's kind of similar, but they purposely, like, they just take it just a pinch more into the, like, like asinine reasons to go on a murder spree. Like, basically these two robbers break in and they steal a few bucks. And that's what actually makes it even funnier. They didn't even, but he thought they stole his little girl's kitty cat bracelet.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what sets off, like, what becomes the core of the movie.
Well, that's a little oversimplification because, like,
it is.
It compounds, but like the straw that breaks the camel's back, and
Right.
the way they did it is like the kitty cat bracelet. Like, it's so funny. It's funny because it seems like a ridiculous thing, but I also understood why it made him so angry,
Right.
because of everything that led up to it.
Right. I mean,
He's like got the guy on the floor. Where's the kitty cat bracelet? Like Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I agree with what you said. It's there's a lot to it. It is a bit of an oversimplification, but yeah, it you see all these clips of his day to day, and it's so mundane and boring, and everything goes wrong every day. He misses the trash every Tuesday or whatever,
That was
which
funny,
you
too.
were laughing a lot about. You are the first person other than me I can remember watching this movie with who appreciated the humor in that bit of editing. Like,
yeah.
because that was pure editing humor. Like,
Yeah.
to just the way they clipped all that together, and like they did it in just the right way where it didn't get boring to watch, and it went on just long enough for you to begin to feel how mundane his life really is. But like, it is funny that they keep throwing in that bit of him every week he misses the trash truck. But yeah, like most people I watch that with kind of zone out for a bit on that, but they think it's boring. I think it's hilarious.
I don't get that at all. That's hilarious to me.
I think it's a great little bit, but I mean, yeah,
the best part was whenever it seemed like that bit was over, and then he's like sleeping in the basement, and then he just wakes up like something's wrong. You're like, oh, what's going on? And he runs out and he's missed the trash again. He's like, dang it!
He goes right back into the editing.
It's been like 30 minutes. Like, you think that's over? Yeah, that was really funny.
Yeah, that bit is really good, and it throughout it, and then every now and then when they kind of stop in the middle of it to give you a little bit more of a glimpse into his daily interactions, it's like everyone around this dude is just so callous and obnoxious, and like got that kind of alpha male energy about them. His father-in-law, his brother-in-law, his neighbor, the cops that come to their house when after the break-in. It's like everyone's like, just like looks at him and goes, "Man, you're just pathetic. You're just a pathetic little man." You know that?
You are a sad, strange little man.
Right. See, that's a good Pixar movie.
It's a great Pixar movie. One of the top.
But, it's just like what is going on? And then, of course, the chaos ensues. You kind of get the first hint that he's someone not to mess with when he goes to the tattoo shop and they're about to like mug him and take his money.
Oh, they never explain that.
Well, it's kind of just like an implied thing. So basically, the veteran, sees the tattoo on his wrist, and
I get it, because he's a vet, so he knows
what group that guy's associated with, and it's probably like some no bueno dudes.
Yeah, I get that now.
Because like you remember in the one kitchen scene, his son is like, "Hey, I got to write a book report on a veteran, or I got to write a report on a veteran. Could I interview you?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, I was an auditor, so it wasn't that, blah, blah, blah." And then the mom, that was one of the most stinging lines when the mom comes in. She's like, "Why don't you interview your Uncle Charlie? He's a real soldier." I was like, dang.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, though.
Yeah.
Great writing.
Oh, yeah. It was great.
Because like it wasn't even like and it was good acting too, because the way she worded it is like, she wasn't trying to be rude, but like that stung. I know that stung. Especially when you're way tougher than that dude and could murder that dude, but you can't say anything about it because you're so Black Ops, like off the book, everything redacted. But yeah, so okay, so the beginning part didn't lose you at all. You were in.
I was hooked from the start.
Okay, so that editing bit, like, it helped for you kind of ease you into being like, okay, like this is a fun, like this is going to be a fun time.
Yeah.
So let's move forward a bit. I think it's important. It's not, they don't hang on it for very long, but I think it's important that he goes to the robber's house and sees that they have a little baby with the breather machine.
Yeah.
And leaves.
Yeah.
Did you think anything of that at the time, or were you just kind of like, okay, like that was cool that he didn't do anything?
That's when the movie really started to suck for me. So no, I'm just kidding.
Oh wow, I was like, that's not what I expected.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I liked that. I thought it showed that he's like, he's a little more. You gave him his humanity,
right? And it was actually the second time. Because at that point, we had already seen him have the conversation with who you find out later is his brother. Which, by the way, what'd you think about that when he went in the office and was talking to the radio? Like, were you like, okay, like, what is this? Like, is this real? Is he hallucinating? Is this a ghost? Like, what? Were you thinking anything weird? Because the first time I saw it, I had no idea what to make of that until later when the guy shows up. I was like, what is this? Like, what kind of turn did this movie just take?
I didn't think anything like that. I thought I was really hooked at that point though, because I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." Because that's when he starts going into his monologue about why he didn't attack.
Right.
He's like, the gun was empty. He starts giving all these details. The whole time I know he's got some background because of what you told me about the movie.
Right.
And I'm thinking like, when are they gonna? And then I knew there were reasons, but there were times when I thought, okay, well, maybe he's just all washed up now. And that's why he didn't attack the robbers, because he feels pathetic now because he gave that life up.
Like Kvoth.
Yeah. Like I thought it was something like that. And then, but then he goes and has that interview and I'm like, okay, this is a guy who knows his background, who like they communicate obviously discreetly, for obvious reasons. And so, and he mentioned something about him being white and the guy being black when he's talking to them. So I knew that later when he goes to his dad's house and you see his dad around him and then a black kid, I immediately was like, oh, that's who he's talking to right there.
See, I never picked up on that. And I went and saw the movie with, I forget if it was my brother or one of my buddies or something. And they pointed it out. Like, yeah, I knew from the photograph. I was like, oh my gosh, I completely missed that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that scene though, when he starts explaining, like, and you start saying, "Oh man, this guy is this," that was such a cool way because it was, it usually the competence shows up in the action scene.
Yeah,
like something's building up, and then an action scene happens, and you're like, "Oh, he's about to wreck them."
Yeah,
but this was different. He didn't do well in the action scene,
yeah,
and then he explains everything in detail. I was like, "That's really cool."
It really. Again, that was that's the first time that he gets given a bit of humanity, because it shows he understood in that moment, like they weren't getting away with much,
Yeah.
and they had not hurt anyone yet. And when he saw the light coming through the barrel or the chamber, and realized that it wasn't even loaded, he was like, they're not even going to try and like hurt, like they're just trying to do what they can. Like probably wasn't happy, but he wasn't going to kill them for that and beat the crap out of them. And probably it wouldn't have even turned into anything had his son not come down and tackled them or whatever. But so that was kind of the first thing. Like you said, like he explains, he saw the empty gun, and he could tell it hadn't been shot in a long time. Like he saw these details. So that helped explain that was a great example of show not tell with his expertise. Like you said, his skill set. Like we didn't need him to. It's kind of weird because he actually did tell it and not show it, but because of the subversion there, it actually was a good flip on that. But
it counts as showing because
right, he's displaying he's still sharp.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so that was the first time. Then he tracks them down, goes to their house, sees they have the baby, and leaves. He doesn't even bother him anymore or whatever, which I don't think he was really going to kill him anyway. But
no, he just wanted that kitty cat bracelet.
He wanted the bracelet, and he probably wanted to intimidate them to be like, hey, don't show up at my house again.
Yeah.
So, but it was, he saw the baby and he left. So that's number 2. And there are multiple moments like this throughout the thing, like moving on to the bus scene. So what were you thinking there? So we cut to the bus. He's sitting on the bus. He's depressed because it didn't go how he wanted. He's bloodied his knuckles up by punching the brick wall outside and all that. And then you see a car like peel around the corner, and they're blaring music and going crazy, and they crash right by the bus, and he's like basically praying for God to let them get on the bus, because he just needs to vent his frustration. And he just knows if these idiots get on this bus, they're going to give him a reason. And they did. So this is our first real fight scene. So what were your thoughts on this little set piece?
I initially thought the Hummer was the people that robbed him. And I thought they were coming to like, they're actually like bad people,
right?
Who are skilled, and now they're coming. Like I thought maybe they were trying to get him out of retirement or something.
Right. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would have done that because it would have made a little more sense. But because it seemed a little too convenient for there to be just some random thugs who now get on the bus when he needs it. But he says in his monologue, in his inner monologue, they say that when God closes one door, he opens another. And that was a way to explain that for me that satisfied me. I was like, oh, okay. So he's seeing this as like, this is a divine, providence for you to enter back into your calling.
Yeah.
Like, and I was okay with that.
Yeah.
They explained that in a very, because he's been having inner dialogue the whole time.
Right. And he's clearly feels like he's stuck in a rut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And like you said, I gave an oversimplification of, but like you said, there were a lot of things kind of building up in his life to get him to the point where he was just ready to unload on these guys when they got on the bus. It wasn't just like, I thought these guys stole a bracelet. I didn't get the bracelet back. Now I got to fight these people. It's like everyone doubting him, everyone talking down to him like he's nobody. Talking to him like he's, like a piece of trash. Like he can't do anything. He can't protect his family. He can't provide for his family. He doesn't own a business like his father-in-law. He's weak. He's not a real soldier. All these things.
Yeah. Now I actually initially didn't like that part, and I still kind of don't. But I'm like, it's not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker for me. I get why they did it.
Which part?
The how comically, because if they would have made it more humorous, I would have been okay with it. But it was like cartoonish how horrible everyone in his life was. Joker kind of did that too, where it was like everybody was completely against him, and it was to the point where it's like it didn't feel real. It was just like there was no suspension of disbelief there, because it was like, all right, is everyone and also I'm kind of tired of the trope of the next door neighbor who has the really nice car and brags about it. I've seen that trope in so many movies. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do this here. Now, granted, that's a nitpick. The movie was great. I love the
right.
movie.
But I mean, I want to hear the good and the bad. So I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought that up. I will say I agree with you. I don't think it was everyone. Like, I thought it was portrayed as semi-realistic because the only people who I thought were kind of cartoony was like the brother-in-law, but he was so over the top that it was funny.
Exactly. They made it humorous. That's the thing.
The neighbor, but he was so much of a jerk that you kind of like, okay, yeah, that guy's like, he's a tool. We were supposed to hate him.
Yeah.
But like the father-in-law, he wasn't rude. He just was blunt. And he said, I'm rooting for you. Like he clearly likes him. It's not like he's like upset that that's his son-in-law.
Well,
and
I liked that guy. I didn't think he was even bad to him. He
Well,
was just trying
he
to figure out, why do you want to,
he wasn't bad, but he was just like when he said, hey, I need to talk to you. And he goes, oh, I'm assuming Becca called you. And he's like, yeah. And, I'm thinking you probably did the best you could, you being you and all. That's like, it's another thing of like someone just being like, you couldn't have done anything.
Yeah, but they should have done more stuff like that because at that point I was like, okay, everyone's a jerk. But then as they started talking and then he ended the conversation by saying, hey, I'm rooting for you. I was like, that felt more realistic to me.
Right.
It's like he's not being just a jerk for the sake of the plot. He actually cares about him, and he's just kind of made like a, you're not really the kind of guy to do something like. He's not even trying to be rude.
He's
but
just
like,
blunt.
The next door neighbor, his brother-in-law who comes up with points the gun at his head and be like, protect my sister. It just came across as, is everyone just a complete Chad in this movie? It was just a little too much.
Even the cop who was like, man,
yeah, the cop
if that
too.
was my family.
Yeah,
just shakes his head at him, and even you out loud like, what a jerk.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I know. But like even his wife, like she adds to the problem. But again, it's realistic. Like I said,
the wife was realistic. I didn't have a problem with her.
Yeah, she was just kind of distant, and he said that like he confronted it head on, which I liked because so many movies and shows do this thing where like the couple, like the significant others, like dance around the issue for however long, and like he was just like it was like this experience this night of him getting into this fight with these thugs. Like opened his eyes to be like, oh my gosh, like life is short, and I used to be this person, and blah blah blah, and he told told her like I've been having these thoughts and these issues and blah blah blah, and I just feel like you're not there with me anymore, and and I liked how blunt that was, and it worked. Like that very night, she was like, she put her hand on his shoulder in bed, and like you could tell it was like there was a connection there again.
Yeah.
So that I liked that. And they did it in a way without being ridiculously, obnoxiously. We'll call it being rated R with it, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
Like it didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
The implication with a simple shoulder touch was like, okay, good deal. But I wanted to add, while we're talking about the bus scene, again, talking about he did these things that kind of gave him some humanity. He hit the one dude in the throat, and he hit him really hard because the guy was trying to kill him. He picked the gun up.
Yeah.
The rest of the guys were just kind of fighting him, or like they pulled out a knife or whatever, but he didn't really kill the rest of the guys. He almost killed that one because he tried to shoot him, and then it's like he kind of realized what was happening, and the guy was sitting there choking like he couldn't breathe because he hit him in the throat so hard, collapsed his windpipe, and he makes the decision to go over and get the cup that had been thrown down and pull the straw out and cut a little hole in his throat and do the, I forget, there's a name for that procedure, but the little thing where it basically allows him to breathe through that straw in his throat until the ambulance could get there to save him. And it's like, again, that's a little bit of humanity. I mean, crappy state to be in, but you're alive. And like he told the guy later, like it's probably more than that guy deserved. I mean, so yeah, I guess speaking of him, let's talk about him for a minute. What'd you think of our main antagonist, Julian?
Oh, antagonist.
Antagonist.
Okay. Well, before I talk about Julian, because I want to talk about Julian. I got a lot to say about Yulian. But can I say first, before we leave the bus scene conversation?
Yeah, go ahead.
I loved that fight scene because it's like I said before, in most action movies, usually when the action starts, that's when you're like, it's about like they're about to get screwed. Like John Wick, he just like lays waste to everyone. It's not even a fight.
Right.
And I love that for its own thing. You know, that's a fun.
Right, that could be fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like getting his butt kicked at first.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, and I was like, I don't know if I like don't make him suck. But then he starts to like get his like it's like he was rusty.
Right.
And then, and it's also like realistic. Like
Yeah.
if he's actually taken on 5 people, like he took some hits. It's like he was prepared to take those hits and build his way up to the success. It was really cool. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that in an action movie before like that.
Yeah.
And I really like, he was really hurt. Like when he got
Yeah.
thrown out off the bus, he's like limping back up to the bus.
Yeah.
It's like, why would he want to do this? Like anyways, it was really good. And then, so the antagonist.
Well, real quick on that, you
Oh.
said why would he want to do this? When he walks by the guys to go up to the front of the bus to put the bus driver out of the thing and close the door,
Mhm.
he looks at the girl and he said that girl is going to get home safe tonight
Oh yeah. Yeah.
because he
That's
knew that something was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I like how whenever what's really funny is once he beats them up a little bit and then he comes back for more, then the bad guys tell the girl to run.
No, he did.
He did?
He said run.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was one of the bad guys.
Yeah, no, he realized that it was like it didn't quite go the way he thought it was going to go, and so he knew it was about to get worse. And so while their attention was on him, he told her to run while he was getting the seatbelt cut and like
Yeah, great fight scene. As far as our antagonist goes,
Yulian.
that has to be one of my favorite villain introductions in a movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It was so good because it starts off like
Walk us through it.
Okay. Putting my shoes on.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, he shows up. He's in this car, just drives by this like rave kind of place, and he's like, "You missed it." And then he turns out he walks through traffic, like doesn't even wait for traffic. He walks right in front of traffic. And they're like honking his horns at him, and you know, there's no context for who this guy is yet either.
Right.
You're just like, all right, we're moving to someone new, and then he comes into this. The guy opens, there's a line waiting for the club, and the guy sees him and opens the door for him. So I'm like, okay, so he's some mob boss or something. And then he walks in and he walks up to the stage and starts dancing like and singing with this girl who was singing. And it was so cringy and awful. And everyone's like, yeah. And I'm like, it was funny. And I'm like, what am I watching right now? What is happening? and then he goes up to meet with some guys, and on his way there's this like big tough guy who looks at him like he's challenging him or something, and Yulian just kind of looks at him like, all right dude, whatever, like, and then he goes and talks to the people, and one of the guys actually tells him that stupid singing and dancing stuff doesn't make you look intimidating, like you're watching all of our money right now.
Yeah.
You know, and then he just doesn't respond. He breaks the glass of his martini, walks up to the guy who gave him a weird look, and just starts murdering, like literally murdering him in a brutal way.
Yeah.
And to the point where I was like going, oh, and like looking away.
You were squirming on that one.
It was tough to watch. But I loved it.
To clarify, he takes the broken stem of the glass and rubs it all over the guy's side of his face.
Oh,
yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Like you can almost feel it.
Yeah.
Like you see it and you're like, oh, I feel that. Like that hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is bad.
It was so bad.
And then walks back over.
He takes the guy back over to them and kills him in front of them.
Right. Yeah.
And then he says, "How about now?" And the guys are like, "All right, man, just chill. I was just making a
I was just saying, man. God, you didn't got to kill anyone over it. Just don't be dancing on stage.
Yeah.
We're cool.
And I was like, first off, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the dancing. I wasn't expecting the murder afterwards. And I was like, this guy is out of his mind.
Yeah, you believe he's crazy.
Yeah.
You believe he's crazy.
And I immediately knew at that point that, oh, this is the villain. And
Yep.
then to find out that the guys that he killed on the bus were related to him, that was a really cool, like, it was a really
one
good
of them.
introduction.
One
of them.
The guy with the straw in his throat.
Yeah, the guy he saved.
Yeah, that was his little brother.
Yeah.
hmm By the way, heck of an arm on that guy. The way he threw that chair.
That was also really funny.
to
'Cause I thought
clarify,
I saw him grab the chair. I thought he was just going to sit it down so that he could look him in the eye.
to clarify, they go to the hospital when he gets the call after his introduction, and you don't know what the phone call was, but then you cut to the hospital and you're like, oh, okay, he's being informed that like his dudes were, in a terrible fight and blah, blah, blah. And he's going to see his brother first. And his brother's in bad shape. Like they said, the brain damage alone, and like they don't know if he'll walk again and all this stuff. So he leaves with his like right hand man to walk through to another part of the hospital to go see his other like thugs. And on the way, he just smoothly just grabs a chair from like the waiting lobby while they're walking by it. And you're like, okay. And then the camera cuts, and it's to the entryway of their hospital room. So you don't see him walking up until you see like his shadow come up. And then one of the guys says, and before that he can even finish saying his name, you just see the chair fly into frame and smash into the dude's face. And Daniel and I both just started cracking up.
It was so funny. That's the last thing I expected, was him to throw the chair.
Yeah.
I saw him grab the chair, and I thought, that's a little weird, but I guess he's going to go sit down. Like, I thought, okay, he's going to go to a room, plop the chair down, and like sit down in it and stare someone in the face or something.
Right.
Just chucks the chair.
Again, you believe he's crazy.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. The fact that he planned that out in his head.
Yeah, well, yeah.
When he grabbed the chair, who would even think to do that?
He's like, I know I'm about to throw this at somebody. I'm gonna need this to throw it at somebody. Yeah, no, he's a psycho.
And also great showing versus telling.
Again, yeah.
It's like there's no mention of it.
And
It
the
just
thing
happens.
is like you believe that he's.
Why do you have a measuring tape out?
So I just figured it'd be cool to have I'm gonna measure some things while we talk.
You pulled that out like you were about to explain something about the movie. You're like, the
You're
funny
like,
thing is,
see,
guys are
he's
usually
this insane, but really he's this insane.
yeah.
He's 48 inches insane.
You just pulled that out like the chair, like you had
Yeah,
planned it
like
beforehand.
I planned it out. No, he
It'd be really funny if you just threw it at me right now.
How dare you tell everyone I'm playing with this? Nah, I'm fidgeting. What was I going to say with that? Back at the club thing, it was interesting to me, and you picked up on it too. That's why I kind of wanted you to walk through. I wanted to see what you thought of it. But the fact that he knew that guy was like staring at, but he let it go.
Yeah.
But then knew like, all right, I'm gonna go get that big dude. This gives me a reason now to do something. Like it's weird. He's crazy, but he's kind of logical. It's weird. He's a nut, but he played a good villain, and he had like a look in his eyes all the time, like he was nuts.
Yeah.
So where did we go after that? Oh, he wants to find Hutch.
Yeah.
And he's like, we got to figure out how we can find this guy. And you just hear like a guy go, and his hand lifts up Hutch's Metro card, which we're very familiar with because we saw it 17 times in the cuts at the beginning of the movie of him using it to ride the bus. So we cut to everything's going great for Hutch right now. He got his little fit out of the way. He's feeling good about himself. He feels like he did that for his family, and he's had this, very real conversation with his wife, and things are going better with his marriage. And he's telling his kids, he just feels more confident as a character at this point in the movie. And he tells them, he's like, hey, how about make us some lasagna from scratch tonight and blah, blah, blah. So, the next thing you know, when they're in the house, he's serving up dinner, and his son's like joking with him, which is the first time because he's like asking the wife, do you want some wine? And the son's like, ooh, I want some. And he's like, no. Throughout the whole movie up to this point, the son's been like real standoffish to him. By the way, if I ever swore at one of my parents,
I know.
I'd be picking up teeth.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even saying that as an expression. I would look like that Russian guy from the bus.
Well, that's a little extreme.
I'm being real with you. Like, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I know. Even in the midst of, well, first off, I would never, in a situation like that, like when you're being mugged, because I'm talking about the very beginning.
Right. When he
"What
did
the
it.
F,
Yeah,
Dad?"
when he cursed at him.
Like, in a situation like that, I would never, like, I would trust my dad if he said, let him go.
Right.
Like, in the way you see him tell him, it's like you can tell he's thinking through
Right.
this.
Like, he knows. It's not like he's scared. He's very calm. He's saying, let them go.
Yeah. It's like, trust me. I would never be like, why, Dad?
Yeah.
I understand why they do that in movies and stuff, but I've never been like that.
Yeah.
Even when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
And then to say it with that curse word right in his face, and then afterwards, he's still just like, geez, Dad, like,
Yeah.
I would have killed those guys.
Yeah.
He didn't say that, but
Yeah, but he meant it. That's
Yeah.
what he implies. Like, I'm tougher than you, Dad.
Yeah. I didn't like that part of the movie either. But again,
You
small
didn't?
nitpick. No.
I thought you loved it when kids disrespected their parents in film and media.
I don't mind it if it serves a purpose for, telling a story, but to me it was just like, that's just an annoying kid.
He was.
Yeah.
I hate his character. But so at this point in the movie, like, even him and the son have like a good little thing going, and then all of a sudden, of course, they found Hutch. Which, by the way, let's talk about them. Let's talk about them finding Hutch, right? So Julian hires some sort of like hacker expert woman to come in and figure out who this guy is, and she's only seeing like the surface level, like, she's like, this guy he's nobody again. He just, he's run of the mill, like, he's an average dude. And Julian, logical. It's weird. He's like, he's smart, but he's insane. He goes, if you can't recognize a wolf in sheep's clothing, then I'm questioning the validity of your employment. Like, he speaks well, and that's true. He sees something she doesn't. But he's not. Anyway,
Yeah. He's like extremely competent, but his insanity gets in the way.
Yeah, he's like a wild card completely. So the lady like digs deeper. She blackmails this dude to get more information, and then she gets it. And she prints all these like horrific photos out of like stuff he's done that had been like in redacted files. And she walks into Julian's room and she goes, "Okay, I figured it out," or "Okay, I found him, no need to pay me." And she like grabs her stuff and leaves, throws all the photos on the floor.
Yeah.
And Julian is just like looking at them, and he sends a team that he thinks would be sufficient to incapacitate, well, not kill, but like, he wants him alive. He wants to talk to him. And so they send this team of what almost looks like SWAT members, like they're geared up to Hutch's house. So here's our next big action piece. So what did you think about the utilization of like the house environment in this fight, in this set piece?
I loved it. It was awesome because he knows his own home, and it was what's funny is he was up against a much scarier like crew than the bus scene.
Right.
But he knew the environment. He kind of anticipated it. He already got his first little bit out of his system. And so like you could see the gears turning, and
right.
he's like, he knew exactly what to do.
Right.
So it made sense the way he got every single one of them. Like they did do this a little bit in this movie, but not as much as other movies. I hate it whenever the bad guy is just shooting at them and they're just missing. Like they have like a machine gun or something, and the guy's just running, and like all the bullets are hitting the wall all around them. But in this house scene, he attacked every person and got out of the way before they could turn and shoot.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I like that they did that.
I loved specifically like the first dudes he attacks. he knows they're going to be walking in at least pairs.
Yeah.
So he lets the first guy go through and then hits the second guy in the head with the bat. His gun goes off. It freaks out the first guy, but he's already now working on him.
Yeah.
It was a good move. And then like kind of like quietly grabbing a knife and walking and making the guy turn around so he could go around and get the jump on him. And then like you just see him like walking through the hall while the other dude's like, whoa, what the, like,
Yeah.
it was really cool. It was really smooth. It was well done. And like you said, it is believable, as far as action movies go. So yeah, I really like that one too. I love the utilization of like the fact that he like props himself up on the stair railing to try and choke the guy out with his own strap of his gun. And then while he's doing that and the gun is sideways, someone else runs up. He shoots them with the gun side with that. I mean, that's just really cool choreography, which I would expect from people who worked on John Wick. And it's cool because this movie does not come off as John Wick-esque. I know we've talked about you have not seen that movie, or at least not up to the action sequences, but John Wick was actually really, really revolutionary in its action because it actually... it's been kind of termed, like dubbed, a fighting style esque thing called gun fu, because John Wick, and then I'm gonna try and explain it. It's hard to understand unless you just see it, but essentially he does fight hand to hand, but like he incorporates shooting people into his like movement, like as he's fighting. It's just unique. I don't know how that team of stunt guys came up with that. Well, I know a little bit about it, but like I don't understand how they developed it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so unique and it's so associated with that character that I was kind of thinking it was going to look like that when this movie came out. And it really doesn't. Like you said, they did a very, very good job of selling the fact that this dude is probably just rusty. Like he gets his stuff off, but like he also takes his lumps and bruises along the way. Like he goes through this whole fight scene and he's really kind of wreaking havoc. And then all of a sudden, a dude kind of gets the jump on him and just tases him in the neck, and boom, he gets captured and he's in the trunk. It's like him in his prime, that probably doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But, you know.
Well, also, and in previous situations, he was the one he was going to find people. That was his job. This is different because people were coming after him, so he was on the defensive. So he, if you're going after someone, you can plan a lot better.
That's true too.
And
as we saw at the end of the movie, which we'll get to. Dang, I never put that together. I wonder if that's why he did it that way. Like, because that's more what he's like being on the offensive is more where he's comfortable. If he's the aggressor, he can kind of control how certain things go. I never put that together, but we'll get to that in a second. We're coming up on another couple of key moments for me. So he gets tased and he's in the trunk, and one of the key moments I definitely want to talk about is when he got out of the handcuffs.
Yeah,
you want to talk about that? Your visceral reaction.
Both of us, and you've seen the movie before. Like he just spoilers. He probably should have said that way earlier.
Oh yeah, I mean we're in depth discussing the movie. There's gonna be spoilies.
But he breaks his thumb to get out of the handcuffs, and he does it so like it just caught me off guard. I mean, he does it like it's nothing. Like it's like breaking off a piece of that Kit Kat bar or something.
Yeah.
He just reaches for his thumb and I'm like, oh, his thumb bends back, and you even flinched and looked away.
I forgot about it.
Just slips his hand out of the cuffs. I'm like, what a guy.
Yeah. Yep. So that's just to go to show how tough he is and resourceful. And, but then, he, speaking of resourceful, I mean, he breaks out of the handcuffs. He finds a little fire extinguisher in the trunk of the car. He busts down the seat where the seat opens up into the back from the trunk, and then shoots the fire extinguisher off to where they can't see where they're going, and the car flips out of control, and they all die. Somehow he doesn't.
Yeah, I didn't like that part. There's two things I didn't like about that scene, actually. I did love the fire extinguisher, like the use of it. But I don't know why they wouldn't have just braked. Like if that would, like in real life, you would think once the car fills with that, you just brake. You just stop the car and get out and try to get him. Which I thought is what he was going to do. He make them brake. So, because first he opens up the trunk and he sees the car's moving too fast for him to get out. Which I like that they did that, because in other movies, he probably just would have gotten out and would have been fine.
Yeah.
But then he does the fire extinguisher. I'm like, brilliant. But then the car crashes. I was like, well, that's not what I expected. And then he gets out, but everyone else dies.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's dumb. Like, he can't control that. I don't know.
Well,
How did he know that he was going to survive? It's just...
maybe the implication is because he was in the trunk and they hit the pole like head on.
Yeah, but he didn't know how they were going to crash. How could he have known that? He didn't look around at all the observations of like the road and everything. It's just...
maybe he didn't think they were going to crash. Maybe he thought they're going to hit the brakes like you thought.
Yeah. They at least should have explained that. Like, he could have gotten down and be like, oh, I thought they were going to hit the brakes.
Yeah,
You know?
that actually would have been really funny.
Yeah.
But he has a little conversation there, and then he runs home because he left his family locked in the...
Can I just say one more
Yeah,
thing
go ahead,
real
go
quick?
ahead.
The second thing I didn't like about it is he broke his thumb, and there was never any it was like his thumb worked fine the rest of the movie.
Well, I will say, if that's a real thing, and like I said, I've heard it multiple places that that's a real thing you can do. It's a small bone. Like, not saying it wouldn't hurt. It would hurt, but like you could still function. It would just
Interesting.
really hurt. Now, I'd have to do more research on that to like know for sure, but that's what I've heard. Is that
Okay.
like your hand would still work, like you could still grab things, but it would be killing you. But if he's as tough as they're portraying him to be, I mean, he'd be fine. He's probably done it before,
All right.
kind of thing.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, if that's true, at least.
Yeah.
So he runs home. He gets his family out of the basement, and I loved it because you even said it out loud before they did it. He was looking because he turned the lights back. He had cut the power when the guys came in, and which, by the way, again, showing not telling. Like you were talking about, he knows the house, he knows the environment. It was brilliant of him to shut the lights off, make it that much harder for them to maneuver. So when he gets back, he turns them on and he's looking around and he's like, ugh, there's blood everywhere. There's bodies everywhere. The house is destroyed. So he runs upstairs and takes a shower, which the first time I saw it, I was like, that's a little weird. Like, it's odd that you would do that. But I will say that, like, in subsequent watches, I've grown more and more to be like, I get it. And like, I kind of appreciate that he did it, because even you were like when the family was coming out, he's got a son and the son's like in high school. He's got a little daughter who's got to be in like elementary school. The way she talks and carries herself and stuff, she's got to be very, very young. And you said out loud, you're like, ugh, I'd be covering the little girl's eyes because she's very young. And sure enough, he pulls her out of the basement and he's got his hand over her eyes, and they walk through the house and get them to the car so they can get out somewhere safe. What did you think when you saw that? Were you just like, I like that they did, like, because they don't have to do that detail.
Yeah.
They could have even done the thing where he's just carrying her. Like, you know, you see in some movies where the dad or whatever is like carrying their kid, and the kid's like got their eyes wide open, like looking behind them and seeing everything. And it like,
Yeah.
you know, that's going to affect that kid. But like they went out of their way to film the detail of him putting his hand over her eyes and walking her through the house.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
I loved it. I actually first he just opens the door, and I was thinking he was going to like sneak in, shut it, and then be like, we got to get out of here, and then bring the girl into his arms and like cover her face in his, but he just opens the door and the family starts walking out first. And that confused me because I actually thought the reason he took a shower was so he didn't appear all bloody and
Right.
stuff to his family.
Right, that's
'cause
exactly,
he's got a
yeah.
little girl. So I was like, what the heck? So then he opens the door and I'm like, they're just going to like let her come out, and then she comes out last, but he gets her first and covers her eyes. So I was like, oh, okay, great. I love it.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. And nothing like a refreshing shower after you've murdered people and gotten in a huge car wreck.
That's what I do,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, it's nothing like it, folks. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
By the way, this podcast is brought to you by Head and Shoulders shampoo and Dove soap
And the CIA.
and the CIA. But yeah, no. So So we
those
do,
aren't those are not actual sponsors, by the way. Just throw that out there.
they're not? I thought that's how you get sponsors. You just kind of talk it into existence. Dove soap. Rub yourself with it. That would be my little like advertisement bit for them if they sponsor.
You know,
us.
there should be a Dove commercial where like two guys are sitting down. They're like, "Man, I tried this new Dove stuff, and it worked really well." The guy's like, "Really? I thought that's for women." It's like, "No, they have it for men." And then it shows him like just standing out in a field, being like, "I hope he's right about this." And he just picks up an actual Dove and starts rubbing it on his face.
Oh my gosh. That's how you get the bird flu.
I think it would give him the flu, not the bird.
My gosh. Well, the bird flew.
Oh, that's true. That's true. The bird flew, and because the bird flew, he got the bird flu.
Yeah. But yeah, so he gets the family out of the house. I got to get back on track, or I'm gonna really go on a tangent.
I love tangerines; they're my favorite fruit. That's an old Frank Caliendo joke. Anyways, moving on.
Not Frank Caliendo.
Yeah, you know him, right?
No.
Oh, dude, he's hilarious. He was like one of the first
People.
ever
Whoa.
next of kin to Adam.
Wow.
No, I'm joking. He, as if I had to say that.
No, I'm totally kidding.
Guys, I listen to this podcast. You're never going to believe this.
They know Adam's brother. Or cousin. I don't know. It's vague.
You sounded like Hulk Hogan.
They know Adam's brother. Brother.
Brother.
So, Frank Caliendo was one of the very first, like, internet comedians who took off in like the early 2000s when the internet was just getting popular. He does impressions, like really good impressions, but he got 15 minutes of fame and then just went absolutely nowhere.
Huh.
He after he got big on the internet, he had like a couple shows on like Mad TV,
Right.
or a couple skits, I mean,
Right.
and nothing. And then they tried to have an actual Frank Caliendo show on TBS, and then just nothing happened with him.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I wonder if I've seen him. I like impressionists.
There's this one bit of video that blew up on the internet of him doing impressions. So if you have seen it, that's probably what you've seen.
Probably. So what's the next? Like, where does it go from there? They leave, of course. I think the next thing we kind of see is Julian finding out that his people died.
Mm-hmm.
So the mission was unsuccessful. Well, Hutch does steal the neighbor's car.
Yeah.
Steals the neighbor's car. He drives it straight over to his father-in-law's like warehouse and dumps a bunch of gold bars on the table, which feels so out of place, but okay. Dumps a bunch of gold bars on the table. And he's like, "I'm buying this place." And the brother's like, "No."
Yeah.
And the dad's like, "You don't get a say in this." And then Hutch punches his brother right in the old solar plexus.
Well, his brother tried to punch him.
Well, yeah, that's true. He didn't like start it, but
Yeah.
he ended it
He
quick.
made it sound like his brother said, "Nuh-uh," and he just walked up
Wham!
and boom. That would have been funny.
I do like the part where his brother's like, "What am I gonna do?" He's like, "I really don't care."
Yeah. I
Just
like
get
that
out
part
of
too.
here. So he buys the place, and you're like, okay, weird thing to go do, but you quickly find out. He goes into like what's that guy? The one who like gets out of everything with like a stick of bubble gum and duct tape. MacGyver. He goes into like MacGyver mode / like Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone.
Yeah.
And he just rigs up this whole place to be like a big old death trap.
Yeah.
And the next scene is probably, well, the next couple. Like from here, the movie has some of my absolute favorite scenes. Like there's a few. So for starters, let's back up a notch. In the beginning, at one point, there was light.
It's funny. I was thinking the same thing. I was about to be like, God created the heavens and the earth. Like that was where my mind went.
In the beginning of the movie, at one point you see Hutch kind of break away from the normal little routine, and he goes and he signs in at a nursing home and he visits his dad. And his dad is played by an ancient Christopher Lloyd, just like the oldest living actor you've ever seen in your life.
He's not that old.
He looks old.
I mean, he looks old. He looks like an old man, but he's not. Like,
Dude, he
that
looked old in Back to the Future, and that came out 40 years ago.
Yeah,
Like, he's old.
he is old.
He's an old guy. So he goes to visit his dad at this nursing home, and they're talking, and you kind of get the hint that like the dad like knows who he used to be, and you get the hint that like maybe the dad was also a bit of a BA, but it's like you don't know anything.
Yeah.
So later on in the movie, when Julian and them find out who Hutch is, they're like, we're going to send people after him, and we're going to send some guys to, just as a message to go off his daddy. We're gonna pop one in his old man. And
we're talking 110% kaboom here. It's an inside joke.
Yeah. So I love that every time you do that on the podcast, you immediately clarify that that's an inside joke, people. So they go, and he's like asleep in the chair. And up to this point in the movie, you have had no hint whatsoever that this man is more than like barely coherent. And they walk up, and the two guys are standing in front of him, and they point guns at him. And he opens his eyes, and then he pulls his blanket off, and they see a double-barrel shotgun pointed right at him, and they're like, what?
Yeah.
Boom goes the first one. The other one is in shock. Boom goes the second. And then the nurse runs in and sees that he's got his TV blaring like cowboys and Indians kind of stuff with guns going off, old Western. And he's like, golly, man, turn that down. I thought something was going on in here, which I will say is unrealistic as
so
crap.
Unrealistic.
But it is funny. It's a funny
funny
little gag, especially because he's like holding the guy.
Yeah.
The guy's trying to like yell for help. The bad guy who tried to murder the old man is trying to yell for help to the nurse, and he can't. And he's okay and turns the TV down. So I love that scene.
You missed the very first thing that he actually did. The old man was he reached up and when they tried to pull the trigger. That's right. He grabbed the gun and put his pinky in between the hammer and where it would fall to shoot. Man, that's such a good little detail too. Yeah.
Such a good little detail because it also explains away why out of two guys, neither one of them shot. The first one was shocked and got shot first. And the second one, he couldn't use his gun because he had, you imagine the grip he must have for that dude to not be able to, because that guy had leverage and everything.
Yeah.
Couldn't get the gun out of his hand. It's a bad old dude.
Yeah, dude.
He's like made of dust, though. Like,
to be fair, he did just have a shotgun blow his insides out. So,
no, I'm talking about the one who was holding the gun at him. That he had the thing, had his hand on the thing. He was the second one to get shot.
Oh, so you're saying the old man had to have a grip because of the grip he had on the gun?
Right, like the guy who was standing above him holding it, he couldn't get it out to shoot him.
Yeah,
and I'm like, God, can you imagine how strong that 197-year-old man must be?
I looked up his age, by the way. He's 87 now. So he's probably like 85 when that was shot.
Okay.
When did this movie come out?
Probably came out a couple years ago. So it probably shot 3 years ago. So yeah, he's probably about 85, 84, somewhere in there. Fair enough.
It's not that old.
It's
old. You got like maybe 10 years left, but I'm sorry, that sounded really mean. That sounded morbid.
I mean,
literally.
To be fair, yeah.
I wasn't trying to be like, I'm just being real.
He's not trying to tell you that Christopher Lloyd is the clock's, he's on borrowed time. All right. Unless he goes back to the future. Anywho, so that was an awesome scene. We go from that to probably my other absolute favorite. I love a good standoff, right? So we see these little clips of Hutch infiltrating Julian's, I guess, mansion or whatever, wherever he's keeping the mob's money, which they call the Ob Shack. And it's in the movie, it is essentially explained that this is like their retirement play. It's like it's the whole mob's nest egg. It's their 401k. It's all their money in one place, and it perpetually gets moved around so that it can't be like easily taken from them.
Mm-hmm.
So Julian has this whole thing set up for it to be protected. And by the way, I will say I did find it kind of weird that they made such a big deal at the beginning of the movie about them saying that like they were all there to observe the security he had on the Obshak. Like it was like this big deal. And then like Hutch gets through it within like 30 seconds of a montage just by shooting everything with a machine gun. Like, I guess they were trying to cut down on the runtime, but I felt like that easily could have been like a scene where you see him infiltrate a place and like show a whole different skill set. But anyway, it is what it is. Not a big deal. All in all, it leads up to probably my favorite scene in the movie. My favorite scene in the movie, which is Julian is back on stage. He's performing again. He's singing his little heart out. And near the end of the song, he looks down into the crowd and he sees Hutch staring up at him, and he's sitting there with a little fork and knife eating. He's just in Julian's club watching him dance and sing while he's eating a meal. So when the song's over, everyone's cheering. He gets off stage and he walks right up to Hutch's table, and he, Hutch and him are both pretty calm. And he's like, "Oh, are you enjoying your meal?" And he's like, it's pretty good. And they're like having this little back and forth. And then Hutch goes to reach out for his napkin. And when he does, like 8 or 10 guards like lift their gun right at his head. And he slowly lifts the napkin up to reveal that he's got like a ring around his finger attached to a cable. It's a line running to a claymore. And the claymore is facing up. So if he tugs on it just enough, or if they shoot him and his hand goes dead and he flops it or whatever, that claymore's going off, and at least some of them are going to die, most likely Julian included because of where he's at. So they don't shoot him. They tell everyone to get out, and even all the guards leave, and it's just him and Julian. And I love the line delivery of him talking about, "Oh, you could rebuild," and he's like, "Yeah." "Wait, what? Rebuild?" Yeah. And he tells us, "Oh, I burned it. I burned everything." And he's like, "My art?"
Yeah.
And he throws the stack of money on the table, and he realizes that he torched the Obshak. And whenever he gets mad. It's the most unhinged, other than him stabbing the dude with the glass, that you see him in the whole movie. He's, "Obshak!" He's like yelling at him. And I thought that was going to make Hutch maybe flinch a little. But the return line of, "This doesn't even make us close to even, because you came to my house, which you don't do." Like talking to him like he's a child.
Yeah.
That was cold, man. Like he had ice in his veins on that. That was a great line delivery. That is my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, I love it.
And so then we kind of go from there straight into the finale. I mean, it's really not even any other scenes in between. We go straight to the finale, and this is where it's like you pointed out earlier, Hutch kind of decides he's going to go on the offensive here. He goes to Julian's club. He has a confrontation with him, knowing he's going to kind of goad him into attacking and following him. And when he gets in the car, he puts his hands up on the wheel with his fingers crossed, like, "Please, please, 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 please." Yeah. And there he comes after like 30 seconds. He busts out of the door. He's like, "Yes." So he takes off. So I want you to kind of, since we're here at the end and it's kind of the big finale, I want you to kind of walk me through what you were thinking as the finale took off.
Yeah, I thought it was a great finale.
All right. So y'all heard it here.
I mean, I liked that he booby trapped the whole place so that it didn't make it seem. This was the most. I mean, there's a lot of still real unrealistic stuff in there, like the car crash, for instance, where he's the only one survives. But as far as action movies go, and like especially one-man army movies, this was the most realistic I've seen it done.
I can agree with that.
I haven't seen John Wick, but I've heard people say that it's known for its like realistic type.
John Wick is I think when people call John Wick realistic, what they mean is that like Keanu does a lot of his own stunts, and so it just looks very real.
Well, I heard one guy tell me that they pay really close attention to the amount of bullets. So like when he has to
That too.
reload, it's
Yeah.
very accurate. They
Yeah.
pay attention to those kind of details.
They do. But I mean, I guess like I'll give you that. Like those kind of details make it more realistic. But I would say the way Hutch fights and like handles conflict is a lot more realistic to real life than how John Wick does.
Yeah, like it's the most realistic I've seen because like especially in the bus scene when he was like getting beat up at first.
Yeah.
It's like it really came across as like, wow, this would be really hard to do in real life.
Yeah.
But the warehouse scene, he had it booby trapped in such a way where it actually felt like someone could pull this off because he lured them into a trap. It was
Right.
all planned beforehand. And he got shot at one point
Yep.
and he had trouble pulling it off, and his friends had to show up and help him
To
to
help
get it,
him.
to
Yeah.
get it through. So it like they really sold me on like that feeling like something that could actually happen.
Yeah.
Except for the final thing that he did. I was like, no, he would be dead.
The Claymore thing?
Yeah.
You think?
Oh,
They
yeah.
shoot forward.
Well, maybe it's just not maybe it's I don't know much about claymores, but
Well, what it is it's that trip line, and the reason that the front plate said front facing enemy or something like that is because what happens is when it trips, the front of that thing like explodes off and shoots. I guess it looked like pellets, like metal, like a shotgun shell, but way more powerful because it's an actual explosive.
well, okay, that makes a little more sense then. I think
and
that's fine.
it did throw him back, like it hurt him, but
Yeah.
like he didn't get hit with anything because it all projected forward.
Well, I've heard people say who know about explosions, like the most unrealistic thing in movies is when people are close to an explosion and they just like, it doesn't affect them to the point
Right?
where like,
yeah.
because the shock waves of it even would just like crush you, like you would be incapacitated for weeks.
That is true, but this is a much more controlled explosion than like this is like if a grenade went off near you, like not close enough to you to kill you, but near enough where you like knew a grenade went off. Like that's not gonna like cripple you. Like you're gonna feel it. Like I said, he got thrown back. I mean, it didn't do nothing
Well,
to him.
my whole thing is if you were close enough for it to throw you back like that, you probably would have gotten more damage. I mean, granted,
But he had
the
that plexiglass
Yeah,
thing,
he had the
so-
bulletproof glass. So I don't know. Maybe it would work. Like I said, it's the most realistic action movie I've
Right,
seen.
and I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying that little stunt is at all necessarily realistic, but I'm just saying I could explain that away easier than I could explain certain other things in other movies.
yeah.
Like, come on,
Sure.
you're gonna tell me Superman could just fly? Come on, you ever
Yeah.
seen anyone
He's
do that?
limitless, Chris. That's his whole thing.
Well, you gotta get kryptonite.
There you go. Roll credits.
By the way, I've heard how the movie's gonna end.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna have kryptonite. in it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I knew it.
I'm kidding. We talked about this last time. There's a good way they could do it.
There is a good way. I don't think they will, but if they do,
Hey, man.
I will be a Superman fan after that.
Yes. I just got to talk to James Gunn.
Yep.
Change the ending real quick for me.
This is an interesting prediction. Do you think Kryptonite is going to show up in the film at all?
I actually don't in this one, just because I feel like James Gunn wants to do something different.
Do you think that it's going to be explained at all why Kryptonite is not there? Or do you think it's not going to exist in this universe?
I think it'll have to exist. As far as it being explained, if it doesn't show up, I don't know that they'll talk about it at all. Of course, they might. I mean, they might be like, because like we've kind of talked, this is clearly like an established universe already in this movie. Like there's other things. So like maybe they'll just talk about how like, yeah, there's a kryptonite thing, but like it got handled. Like we're moving on from that.
If they're able to like write Kryptonite out of the universe in a way that is satisfying, I will love it. I will be all on board with it.
Like maybe at one point when everyone was just happy to have Superman, and someone tried to use kryptonite against him and they realized it was a weakness, maybe they like gathered up all the kryptonite and launched it into space. I'm serious. Like they got rid of it. Like, and like maybe that's Lex.
a little bit silly.
Maybe Lex is like going to try and get it back. Well, but because they're like, well, if we keep it anywhere on Earth, it's in danger of falling into the wrong hands. So we got to launch it. We got to get it out of here. And there's aliens and stuff in this universe. So they're like, maybe they have Green Lantern, like take it way far away or something.
I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't be as happy with that. Your idea of like, if you use it, it's going to like nuke a city and cause.
Well, not nuke us, but just like it would harm people. Like,
yeah.
it causes normal people to have effects too, not just Superman.
Yeah, like it's got super negative consequences.
Right.
Or if you use it and it makes Superman weak, but someone else have Superman powers, that could be an interesting. Like there's
Like
consequences.
it steals his power.
Yeah.
That'd be something different.
Yeah, like stuff like that. There's more consequences. That would be cool. Like if they put a new unique spin on it. But I understand why they would. Like the reason I don't think they are going to do anything like that is because there's too many Superman fans out there who I think would be like, that's not how kryptonite works. But I don't know. They change stuff in movies from comics in ways that satisfy fans all the time. So who knows?
They do.
I guess it's like as long as they stay true to the character and the lore. They don't fundamentally change anything, just some of the mechanics.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be interesting. As far as if you really want me to make a prediction, I'd say no. I don't think it shows up in this movie.
All right, but you do think it'll be explained or talked about?
It might be. Like I could see that, but I don't think it will be a plot point in this movie.
I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be a plot point, but I also don't think they're going to explain it, which is going to make it a problem for me.
Well, I don't think that's a problem. I mean, because look, the reality of it is at some point it's going to pop up.
Why do we always end up talking about Superman in every single podcast?
I guess because there's a movie coming out.
That's true,
and it's one of the biggest 2 movies about to come out of the summer. So it's like, we're going to talk about it. We're gonts to talk about the Turtles. Yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, if I'm making an official prediction on the podcast, I'm going to say I don't think kryptonite is a plot point in the movie.
Okay. All right.
I'll leave it up to you whether or not it's discussed or not. You're saying you don't think it will be.
Yeah, I don't think it will be. I'm with you that I don't think it's going to get like I don't think it's going to be in the movie, but I don't think that they're going to talk about it. They're just going to pretend like it doesn't exist, which is going to bother me.
What if they do that through the movie and then the post-credit scene is that they show it somewhere? Like
that would almost make it worse.
Like floating towards Earth.
Yeah, you mentioned that actually before. That would make it worse for me.
Really?
Yeah.
It would explain why they didn't talk about it.
Yeah, but now it's going to be like, oh, okay, so then we had this good movie and now kryptonite's introduced and we have the same problems that we had before. It's like you basically just said, I specifically avoided kryptonite because I know, like...
We're going to use it later.
Well, I know how hard it is to write a story around Superman with that problem in it.
Well, here's my thing. Wouldn't that still kind of show you that it's still possible to do good Superman stories without kryptonite involved?
Not necessarily, except for the fact that, well, actually, no, it would prove my point because they're basically saying we can't have kryptonite in this movie because it's for when it's been overdone and it makes a plot issue. So we're going to have to find a way to not use kryptonite. But
I'm saying if they do that and it's a good movie, that shows that there's a good movie without kryptonite involved.
That's my whole point is like you can't have kryptonite. And to build Superman out as a really interesting character with like all this lore, you have to work around the kryptonite issue. That's my whole point. So if they bring it back at the end of the credits, then they're bringing kryptonite back in. Like they're going to have to explain it.
I can already tell our episode about that movie is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun one.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
But any thoughts on the ending? So I mean, obviously, you know, the good guys win. Hutch and Becca go look for a new house.
Yeah.
The realtor gets like 5 phone calls while she's showing them the house and keeps ignoring them and eventually picks up and it's for Hutch. And you don't know the phone call, but all of a sudden he turns and asks, like, does this house have a basement? Hinting at the earlier thing in the movie where he burned his basement down with the bodies in it. And then there's a little post-credit scene of the brother and the dad.
driving up the PCH.
Going somewhere with a bunch of guns. And then naturally, like I said, at the time we knew that was just like kind of a cute send-off thing, like potential for a sequel, but we didn't know. But now we know we're getting a second one.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on any of that, or is that one that you're like, I gotta see that in theaters? The second one?
Nah,
not
to that level. I mean, I liked it. It was a good movie. It was fun, but I mean, I might not ever watch it again.
What? Nah, that actually doesn't shock me.
Yeah.
Did the language and the violence throw you off? I know I pre-warned you about it going in. Was it as bad as you thought it'd be? Was it worse? Better?
It was about what I expected, and I'm not like a fan of the language, but I can stomach it for something like this. The violence doesn't bother me as much as long as it's not senseless violence, like violence that's just gore for the sake of gore, like slasher movies. Like I hate that stuff. But here it served a purpose every single time,
right?
And I'm okay with that. I'm not usually against gore. Like it depends. Like, a movie, it was gory for its time. The Patriot with Mel Gibson.
I've heard of it.
You've never seen it?
No.
Oh my God. So here's the crazy thing. That's got to be one we watch. That is the best historical fiction film ever. It's also the only one I've ever seen. But that is such a well-written film. Acting is off the charts. So good. So good.
Yeah, I mean, Mel Gibson, that checks out.
Yeah. It's Mel Gibson, Heath Ledger.
Oh, okay. I actually have seen that.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
I was about to say, like,
I saw that a long time ago.
Do you remember anything about it?
All I remember, like, that is his something with his family, because he lives he's got like a few daughters or something, and his wife. God, I can clearly see a scene out in like this big field in front of his house. Something happened, but I really don't remember any details about it. I know I've seen it.
I have a close tie.
I forgot it was Mel Gibson.
Yeah, it's we got to watch that again sometime, because that is a great film.
Yeah, I'd be down.
I have some personal tie-ins with it because Mel Gibson's character was based off of 3 historical figures in the Revolution: Francis Marion, Thomas Sumter, who is the University of South Carolina. Thomas Sumter was known as the Fighting Gamecock. That's how the university got its name.
Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox.
Yep, Swamp Fox.
My boy.
Yeah. Francis Marion, Thomas Sumter, and then Andrew
Lyon.
I can't remember his last name. But I was actually surprised at how much Tavington, the bad guy, he was based off of one character named Bannister Tarleton, who was a real historical figure. And those 3 guys that I mentioned were a problem for Bannister Tarleton. And he actually, some of the stuff that Tavington does to Mel Gibson's character, Benjamin Martin, Bannister Tarleton actually did to them in the Revolution. So it's got some cool, and the reason I say I have personal tie-ins is my ancestors helped Francis Marion. They were responsible for bringing him weapons and supplies on his militia runs and stuff.
Sure. Yeah, sure. No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool for me because in elementary school, at least where I went, I don't know if this was the same for you, but at the elementary school I went to, most grades, 1st through 5th, when we would do our history, a lot of it was state history up till 5th grade was when we started doing a little bit more world history, and we learned about World War I and II and stuff like that. But a lot of the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th was state history.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously we heard a lot about the Revolutionary War and all that, Civil War of course too. But we learned a lot about in the Revolutionary War, just the different
guerrilla warfare.
Well, yeah, but the different prominent figures in that war, and obviously South Carolina being one of the oldest, one of the first colonies, states that was formed or whatever.
It was the 8th state to be brought into the Union.
Right. So it was. I mean, we were part of a lot of that.
Yeah.
Well, so
Sorry, I don't mean her. The story takes place in South Carolina too.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, most
Was
of
it filmed here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to rewatch that then. It's been a long time. But Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox, was always my favorite like figure in that time to learn about and read about. I just was enamored with the idea of someone who just like knew the swamps and stuff so well that he could guide people through them and then like have them jump out and attack groups of troops from the other side. I was like, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Like there was no one cooler in history.
Yeah.
So that's really cool that your ancestors were like helping him with that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they did. I think they just delivered supplies to his militia crew or something.
Right.
But yeah. Pretty cool stuff.
Very. But okay, yeah, good deal. I think that's all we have on Nobody.
Yeah,
Any closing thoughts for you? I mean, so you enjoyed it?
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Not one you're probably going to go back to a lot, but
Yeah.
I mean, I could have probably guessed that going into it.
Yeah.
You don't really strike me as like an action movie lover. Like you strike me as like an action movie appreciator. Is that accurate?
I think that's accurate, but it also depends on the type of action. Because like Mission Impossible.
Well, that's fair.
My
That's like
favorite
pure
movie series.
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But it's a different kind of action than like John Wick.
Right.
Or
Right.
For one, it's not a one-man army.
Right. And it's more espionage thriller action.
Yeah, yeah.
And like large spectacles than it is like gunfights and hand
Right.
to hand. Like
Exactly.
I'm gonna punch you in the face.
Or I like martial arts though. I like martial arts movies.
Have you ever seen Karate Kid?
Get up.
If you watch the second one, watch to the end. There's a really good fight. It's probably the best fight in the movie.
It's the only fight in the movie, I think.
Don't stop it when the storm happens and the guy says, "I'll give you everything you want because you helped me." Keep watching after that. There's a fight in the movie at the end.
Yeah.
If you miss it, I'll just show it to you on YouTube.
You just like keep it going. It's like, oh man.
I mean, odds are you're gonna miss it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's
Let's move on.
So what are we at for time?
We're pretty much up on time.
Okay, because I was gonna say I had a game I was gonna play with you, but
really?
If we didn't make it to it,
What's the game?
well, I don't want to tell you because then knowing my luck, if I tell you, something's gonna pop up on your thing somewhere. You're gonna know, so that when I do go to play with you next time, you'll know the answers.
Okay, all right.
It's fun though, and it's movie related. It's like trivia in a way, but it's instead of it being like a bunch of questions all over the place. But that would be cool. Like now that I know I have a few weeks to prepare for it, maybe that could be our next episode. Is like I bring you movie trivia.
Ooh.
And you could, I mean, if you want, you could do some and I could do some. We'll ask each other movie trivia and see. And it could be like about specific movies, or it could be just about movies as a whole, like cinema as a establishment.
Yeah.
Things like that. And we could come up with like different questions and ask each other. That'd be cool.
I love that.
All right, cool. Then that's what we'll do.
All right.
That's what we'll do.
I love that idea. I don't know if I'll be able to get questions for you, but I will.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Okay, geez.
I believe in you. Yeah, dude, you know a lot about you tell me about stuff all the time, like movie wise. I'm like, what? And then you're like, what? You haven't seen Lord of the Rings?
All of my questions are going to be Lord of the Rings trivia. And I'm going to be like, I'm so much better than you at this game.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to watch them in secret and answer all your questions.
Dude, if that's what it takes to get you to watch Lord of the Rings, then I'm okay with that.
I can't do that because you said you were going to watch them with me. So
That's true.
But yeah, I guess that's all for now then, and we'll go ahead and sign off with that. And until next time.
See you later.